Hello, everyone. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that's happening, and one of the things I've been thinking about is how do you make a difference when things are the way that they are? How do you make a difference um, when it feels like everything is shifting so quickly, or there are so many different experiences where people are having a loss of everything they love, a loss of their loved ones, their lives, their homes. Um, how do we do anything that seems like it's meaningful or important or potent in the face of that? And I think that there are many things that we can do to heal together, but first comes the grieving and the acknowledgement of uh, what is beyond comprehension and what is so terrible. And so I've been just thinking about that and how do we work with that? And um, there is uh, something that Angelus Arian told me, which is that the purpose of change um, is the gift of tragedy. Like the purpose of tragedy is to change us. The purpose of tragedy is to change us. I don't even know if that's the purpose of tragedy is to change us is the right way to say it, but uh, she said something to that effect that the purpose of a tragedy is to transform us. And you know, I think about, well, how am I being transformed by this? Well, I think I'm being called to pause and to stop and to pray. Um, I have been called to reflect, to really pause and to consider, um, what is my prayer? What is it that I would want to share? One of the important things to remember about healing is that it takes time. I think we just want to hurry these things, but these things take time, and we have places to rest. Even if we're laying someone we love to rest, we are still being called to go into the silence and to find our way back to ourselves and to find our way back to life somehow. And so this is a really beautiful, um, this really beautiful piece by Rabbi Shapiro that talks about healing and what healing means. And I also have a piece about death, um, which I'd like to share with you, also called Atlas Moth, and that is from my poetry book called Honey Collections. So I think this is one of the things we can do is we can find healing words, we can find soothing words, we can gather from the dust and the ruin, the pain. We can gather some kind of recognition that our lives have meaning and that our lives are going to go on and that they have to go on and not only do they have to go on, but that they will be given this terrible gift from these experiences. And a lot of us are having there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot that is incredibly terrible. And then life is still asking things from us. Life is still saying, oh, you have to go on and you have to continue with your gifts and your talents and hopefully create some change that will provide some comfort, or that will provide meaning, that will give someone something that they need, maybe serve someone in some way, and that serve their well-being and their needs. It's one of the ways that our own needs are often met, is by fulfilling the needs, or by assisting or extending our gifts, our talents, our life into the life of another, and sometimes into the death of another, to extend our gifts into the place where we can sit with someone who is crossing, or we can assist family members who are grieving. We can even do something as simple as bringing a meal, or just sitting in silence. But I think that there's a complexity we give these things. And even though they are very, very complex, there's also a simplicity to putting one foot in front of the other and helping in whatever ways that we can. And pausing and having those moments of silence, and then creating something from that grief, making something of that grief that can go into the future and do something good, is the prayer. And those moments will come, and those moments will take time. So the poem, or the prayer by Rabbi Shapiro, is: there are moments when wellness escapes us, moments when pain and suffering are not dim possibilities, but all too agonizing realities. At such moments, we must open ourselves to healing. Much we can do for ourselves, and what we can do, we must do. Healing, no less than illness, is participatory. But even when we do all that we can, there's often still much left to be done. And so we turn as well to our healers, seeking their skill to aid in our struggle for wellness. But even when they do all that they can do, there's often still much left to be done. And as we turn to life and to the vast power of being that animates the universe, as the ocean animates the wave, seeking to let go of that which blocks our healing, may those whose lives are gripped in the pain of suffering open even now to the wonder of life. May there be a place to lay down the hurt, to meet the true self beyond pain and the uncarved block that is our unity with holiness. May they discover through pain and torment the strength to live with grace. May they discover through doubt and anguish the strength to move with dignity through suffering and fear, the strength to move toward healing. And then, of course, it feels like way too soon to say all of that, but that's Rabbi Shapiro, Shapiro healing. It's a healing prayer. And I shifted and changed some of the words. But then there's also the work of death and of working with death. And one of the things that accompanies us every day is the spirit of death. And the spirit of death is always with us. And the spirit of death is always asking us, what are you making of your life? And each of us has to, we each have to answer that question on our own terms and in our own way. But we've each come here to offer our lives to the earth, to offer our lives to unity, to offer our lives to one another, to offer our lives to the great gift of life that is here on this incredibly beautiful, sacred planet. And so how can I offer my gift of life? How can I offer my voice, my gifts, my service, my healing in whatever ways that I can? And how can I answer this question that death is always asking? Do you know you've come here for a reason? And are you fulfilling that reason? Are you giving your life to life? And so we also honor death, and death is a great mystery. Death is one of the great mysteries. Death is something everyone experiences. We're all intended to go into the great mystery, and we all have a meeting with that mystery. And in that mystery, at some point in time, and we don't know how, and we don't know when, and many people have had that experience in just this last week of meeting the mystery, of having that divine appointment, And we don't know when that will be, but we know that it will happen for all of us. And so this is a divine appointment that has to be honored. And so I've had some patients and some clients ask me in the last couple of weeks just what is happening. They've been feeling a sorrow and grief, and there is a collective grief that we experience, and that I believe we're experiencing, and I believe that many tragedies are happening, and that the purpose of those tragedies is that we do change, and what kind of changes can we make? We're being asked to ask ourselves those really important questions. So I wanted to close with, this is Atlas Moth. This is from Honey Collections, which is a poetry book I put out a couple of years ago. Yeah, with Medicine Media. Atlas Moth. A 7-day life, but the moments before a closing 21 days of decadence. A swirling of green saffron soft like snow over tiny body. But born this way, life in cadmium hue. This microcosm of crushing color is not an awareness of life, but our own wings and death, which lie in every moment as though our soul is a moth with feathered antennae that feel what is coming and may be dying its whole life. Leaf after leaf, petal after petal, this nighttime journey, a jubilant whisper to everything in its entirety, comes from the luminescent other world, swirling like cosmos in chrysalis. Like anything that yearns to pollinate and doesn't yet know what that is, for the arches of life it is leaving behind when it finds its freedom from the burdens of existence, and begins to float in one seamless exhalation over the threshold of sky, where life and death meet in their final enclosure. The Atlas moth can see the curve of the world as it lets go of the darkness, the light. It has been gathering into its body through the tunnels of citrus, privet, and cinnamon, trees of heaven. The forewing pressing against the back wing, celestial navigation, urging the soft scaled body onward with nothing to say, taking nothing new inside, but the apex tilts upward. Of course, now the reflections could be lost in the fist of shadow, but here we lift toward the sun, which is hidden from view and can only be seen in the stars. 4 to 7 days of life in perfect stillness, gathering luminescence. And when darkness comes, dancing, lilting, lifting toward death as though it is meant to be. Dancing, lifting, lilting towards death as though it were meant to be. Atlas Moth. And so we can go into the silence. We can find our way back to life. We can ask ourselves important questions. We can track our dreams for wisdom and information, and for the small silver bell of the soul in the rubble. So may you find your guidance and find your way, and may we have the ability to do what needs to be done. Thank you. I'll see you next Thursday.